All right, welcome everybody to another Spearhead podcast special. This time I am joined on the sofa by none other than the legendary Andrew Wilson, aka Villem, aka one half of the Vanguard Project, with some other tit. Me. So this is weird. It's like out of everybody who's sat on the sofa with me so far, you're the person like I know the most.
Okay. Yeah.
So
the longest relationship.
Well, it's not.
You say?
Don't know about calling it a relationship, but it's going a bit too far. So anyway, Drew, we're going to try and dig deep into you and find out some stuff that people might not know at home. So tell us, firstly, where did it all begin, mate?
What, my production or my love affair with drum and bass, or?
You can take the question any way you want. I don't want to know about your actual birth.
Yeah.
How did you? Where did you start getting into music, drum and bass?
Well, it sort of began, I'd say, in about 11 or 12, I'd say. And someone gave me Dreamscape 10. It was Slipmat. And it was kind of sort of happy hardcore 1994, 93, I'd say.
I know the era well.
And that tape just sort of blew my mind. I was like, what the hell is this? This is not what my parents listened to.
Yeah.
This is not what anyone I know listens to.
What were you listening to before that?
I don't even know, to be honest. Like just what your dad would listen to in the car on the radio, or
right, yeah,
or you know, stuff like that. I remember that being the thing that was mine. You know, that was sort of my music. That was for me, and from there, I've just kind of stayed in that kind of world, that kind of hardcore rave. Then that moved to jungle. Then that moved to drum and bass. And I've just sort of continued that love affair, and it's kind of gone up and down, where you get into it, you get out of it, and you know, you go back and forth.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the way back to then. So.
And how did that kind of love affair with the music turn into? When did you start producing? What was your first? Did you learn instruments or?
I DJ first, so that was about 16. My friend Jeff, he had decks. He had loads of jungle records. We were trying to DJ on these Technic decks, but they weren't 1210s. They were these. You had like a
hi-fi ones.
Yeah, like a hi-fi Technics, two hi-fi Technics decks with a little pitch bend about that big at the front, and you moved it a millimetre and it would go zzz, and then you know. So we were making an absolute racket. And obviously just not getting in time or anything, but we loved the tunes.
I'd been DJing about 3 years before I knew you were meant to use the pitch bend. So
I must have sounded awesome.
Well, I just didn't used to play any beats at the same time.
Oh, okay.
It's like, you know, like play the
just
intro.
Just a quick fade.
Yeah, or play the intro, and they were sort of similar speed.
Yeah.
Or quick fade. And, I mean, some people actually paid me money to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like if you ever listen to like wedding DJs and stuff, that's all they do. You know, just one tune, straight to the other. The tempos are completely different.
Yeah.
So you were basically a wedding.
That's how it began. That's how it began for me. Yeah. So then when did you start producing, sorry?
The idea started when I was about 21, I'd say. I was working in jobs that I just didn't sit right. I was bored out of my mind.
What jobs? Name and shame.
Well,
not shame.
The first one was working in a pig factory. And we were just
making pigs,
and we were sort of the reverse of that.
Oh,
sort of. Sorry, everyone who's vegans and stuff, but it was basically, by the time it got to me, it was an upside down pig's head, and I had to chop out the cheek meat and flick it behind me. So that was about when I was 17.
And why did you want to leave that role to pursue a career in music?
And then after that, it was more office based, and I was working in IT, and I was just bored, man. I was just bored out of my mind. I was thinking, what do I love? And I love music, and my brother and some of my friends were in Bristol.
Right.
So I was thinking, okay, if I can get to Bristol, maybe I can just do something that I might actually like.
Okay.
And that was the mission. So I had to go back, take my A-levels again, because I'd failed all my A-levels. Then got a foundation year, then eventually got into Bristol Uni and started doing a degree there.
In music?
Yeah, it was music technology, but I quickly realised after the first year it was all about how to build a synthesizer and kind of all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I wasn't...
Have you ever done that?
No, I've not done that since.
Okay.
So I thought, this is not... I want to write music. That's what I was passionate about.
Yeah.
So I quit that degree and got into... So halfway through that year, I just bought a piano and I was just teaching myself, and I did like jazz piano grade 2, thinking that's what I needed to get into this other music course, which is music composition.
And did you know at that stage you wanted to basically write jungle drum and bass, or?
Yeah, but I thought, okay, I don't know how to write music, so I thought the way you do it is to learn how to play an instrument, go to a university and get knowledge that way.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have anyone around me who knew how to do it. YouTube wasn't even a thing in 2001.
No,
you know,
definitely in its infancy. Not
yeah,
like
I mean,
it is
not where you have information.
Yeah.
So I was just fudging myself. I remember buying like a Waldorf synthesizer for like 600 quid, and just had no idea what to do with it. Made a couple of noises, but that was just one tiny piece of the puzzle that I just...
Yeah.
So I was just fudging my way through. Did my degree at Kingston University, which was... That was great. I got to play lots of music, write loads of weird stuff for like saxophones and all sorts of stuff. So
you played a saxophone?
No, but it was like one of the challenges was just to write for a saxophone quartet. So you just had to write for that. So I was just really just trying to find a way into music. Really, I should have just sat down, got Cubase or whatever, or Logic, and just tried to write drum and bass. But in my mind, I was like, no, I need to study every other form of music, learn an instrument, go to university, and then write drum and bass.
And then land here.
Yeah.
But it was a different time. I mean, you know, you're not that old, but technology's moved so quickly. Like now, if you want to learn, people come and say to me, what's the best way to start? I'm like, go and buy a DAW, desktop audio work.
Digital audio works.
Yeah, see, I don't even know what that's. I don't even know anything about what I've been talking about. I just forgot. Buy a bit of software and then go on YouTube. I mean, that's it. You can tell I haven't been to university to learn. I only knew what. I mean, I've only heard this term DAW more in the last couple of years. I thought that was what you used to get in and out of the office, but that's what happens when you get to my age. But yeah, it's so, you know, you can just go on to YouTube. I want to do a bass line. Let's see one of all the, you know, you can see Break doing a bass line, or you, or whoever. Yep. Some of your favourite artists, but like I'm the same as you when I started. Where the heck do you start?
It sounds so complicated as well, you know. You and the thing is with like drum and bass, you've got to write the drums, you've got to write the bass line, you've got to find the chords, you've got to find the vocal, you've got to find the pads. It's not like you find a drummer, you find a guitarist, you find a bassist, and you just do your own little bit. You've got to create the whole thing, and that's so daunting when there's no information around you. You don't know anyone who's around you doing it.
Yeah,
you know, it's where, like you say, where the hell do you start?
You gotta pray for love.
So moving on from like all them courses, you obviously discovered a piece of software, Logic.
Cubase was first, I think.
Right.
Yeah, Cubase was first.
And at what point in this did you discover samples or sampling?
Yeah, I think it was in Bristol. I think some people would. Was it in Bristol? Maybe it was in Kingston. I got Cubase and I was writing some stuff with samples, and I was writing some weird shit. Just like some like, it was like, I was really into Aphex Twin and Venetian snares. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but it was like 200 BPM breakcore, just drum breaks flying about all over the place. I think in my head, I was like, "Oh, I'm at university. I need to write some highbrow kind of stuff. It can't just be straight.
Okay.
It can't just be straight ahead like drum
Yeah.
and bass for the dance floor. It's got to be interesting." So my tutor goes, "This is like interesting."
Yeah, beard strokey.
Yeah,
as they
exactly.
call it.
So
Yeah.
I think that's probably, thinking back, that's probably why I was doing that. And then once I got out of uni, I'm like, hang on, I kind of forgot why I did all this. I just wanted to write drum and bass.
Okay.
And I got back into drum and bass after uni. And it's particular 2006, 2007, and Break was coming with his new sound. Like Break was coming with these drums, and I'd fallen out of love with drum and bass, and then I heard Break, and that dragged me back in.
What's this?
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's funky, it's rolling. The whole, the bass lines, it was really immediate, but it just really grabbed me. So that kind of drew me back in.
Cool. And then when in this whole timeline you've got drawn back in by that, the first time I'd really heard of your music was when you released an EP on Med School. Was that fairly near the beginning of this journey, or?
Yeah, I think that was 2011 or 12, I think.
Right.
So quite a number of years. I had my first release in 2009. That was weirdly just a digital only release. And my first bit of success, I do that like that because you think at the time it's a massive success and now you're going to take over the world.
Yeah, of
Something like
course.
this happens, but
it's all relative.
Basically, I had written a tune. I sent it to Madcap. Madcap was like, "Oh, I like this. Can I just, put an amen under it and make it a bit more rolling?"
Okay, yeah.
So he kind of remixed it.
Yeah.
Sent it to LTJ Bookham, and Bookham was like, "Oh, I love this." Started playing it.
I mean, mate, back then, Bookham playing your tunes is like...
It's still now. Like now I'll get Daniel emails, "Oh, I really like this tune. I'm going to be playing it." That's still... Because he was like one of my heroes.
Yeah.
So even now I still get that buzz speaking to him. But so he put that on the Fabric Live LTJ Bookham CD.
Okay.
So that was a real big deal.
That's a big break.
And we got paid probably better than I do now on that first tune.
Well, it would have sold a lot more physical copies way back then.
so
People were buying them Fabric Live CDs. You could buy them. You could buy them in Tesco's.
Yeah.
And people bought them who were just like, "Oh, I want to buy like a club CD." So they did big numbers, man.
Yeah. That got me excited. And I remember my friends, we would go out for a drink in town, and they'd be like talking to some girl, and they'd be like, "Oh, this guy is a famous DJ." Oh. And I'd be like,
"Did it work?"
Well, I was like, "I'm not a famous DJ. I've had someone remix my song, and it's on it's one track on a."
Did it work?
No, it didn't work.
Well,
it might work for them, but
yeah, not you. Just our mates with him.
Yeah. They're like, "Oh,
happy days."
Yeah, so that was the first inkling. Is okay, maybe I'm onto the right path. Is someone who I think is a god likes my tune, or something related. It's not even my tune; it was a remix of my tune, but it's still. I felt like I was connected.
Yeah.
So that was the first sort of big thing that happened.
And then from there, when you had some releases on Warm Communications, was that before the hospital release, Med School?
God, the thing is, me and you both, we've written and released
too many
hundreds
to
of
remember
tunes now. So
at some point, there was a sick EP called Shimmer.
Yeah, that was the 2012 Med School
on
one.
Med School.
Yeah.
And then when did you start working with McLeod?
2009, 2010, 2011. I was heading to Bristol, back to Bristol. I'd moved back home, but then I was heading back to Bristol a lot.
Yeah.
To work with Mako and my brother Fields.
Yeah.
And Mako had a really good studio set up, and we were all trying to learn deeper on how to get better at writing tunes and production and stuff.
I've just had a thought. It's my ADHD in this, but like you just mentioned, your brother is called Fields. I've just remembered that when we were trying to come up with, like, we started working together a few years ago, and started writing together when I didn't have anywhere else to write music and stuff. I think we started off doing a remix and just kept going. And then we decided we needed a name for our project. Yes. And the first name we came up with was Vanguard. And then we went right round for about a year to come to the Vanguard Project. But one of the main names you put forwards for that project was Meadow.
Was it?
Yeah. And I remember saying to Andy, Meadow. Now I've just realised your brother's called Fields. I feel like there's a
connection.
Strong connection.
I mean,
have you got anyone else in the family that could have, I don't know, what's like a meadow or open spaces or something? So Fields and Meadow.
I think it's because we grew up in right in the country.
In a field.
Yeah, pretty much. Like literally a field was at the back of our house, and the village we grew up in, there was about 100 people there. There wasn't even a shop or a pub, and you were just surrounded by countryside. So maybe that's why. I don't know. But.
Is that where you're still based now? Well, I know it isn't, but for the sake of anyone else listening.
No, I'm not in a field now. I'm in a house, so that's good.
Promotion.
Little upgrade from but yeah, I'm based in Ipswich now, right in the centre of Ipswich, with my wife and 2 children. And
amazing.
And my third child, which is my studio at the back.
I was going to say, I thought you were just announcing another one on the way.
No, that door is.
Well, actually, Samantha's asked me to bust some news to you today. No,
shit.
No. So. Yeah, I'm going to just zoom forward a little bit and just fill in a couple of blanks here. So I know that you and Sam McLeod knew each other from school days, is that right?
Yeah, Sam's a bit younger than me. He's about 3 years younger. My best friend, his brother was best mates with Sam.
Okay.
And we all connected on drum and bass and jungle. Sam was buying records, I was buying records. But me and Sam had like a similar taste. Yeah. And we bonded on music in that way. So,
and my father-in-law used to teach Sam McLeod.
Yeah, I feel like he might have taught me as well.
Oh yeah, I think he knew.
He knew
because I remember like you came round to pick me up for something and said, "Oh, it's really weird seeing Mr. Roy like in your house."
It was weird and slightly embarrassing because I know what I was like at school and it wasn't the easiest to deal with. So
he couldn't remember you; he could remember Sam.
Yeah,
or it might be the other way around. But your mum used to be the secretary, didn't she?
Yes. Yeah.
So there you go. And so Villem and McLeod, I met those guys. They made this album, Playing the Changes, for Spearhead Records, which is available everywhere, streaming and stuff like that. And there are about 6 vinyl versions of this left. If you want one,
Not bad.
Know where to go. But just fast forwarding for a minute, I just wanted to give Sam McLeod a mention. You just mentioned about having 2 sons. How old are they now?
6 and 3.
How is it like? How do you find time to be so productive? Because your journey up to, like, it seems like your journey took quite a long time to really kick into the motion it has now. And I think now you've got 2 children, you've got to, 1, find the time to do stuff. So I wondered how that worked. And 2, you've obviously now, I know that you had another job up until just not long before the pandemic. Yeah. How has your kind of workflow changed in order to make this like a full-time career?
My dad was like, right, I'm going to retire. So I was working for him. Yeah. And that was my steady, wage, paycheck. And music was helping to supplement the overall kind of income coming in. So my dad was like, I'm retiring, you've got to think about doing something else. And I was like, oh God, like I need to find a way to make more money. So
you didn't fancy going back to the chicken factory, pig factory?
No, I did not.
Fair enough.
Did not fancy that at all. So I thought, okay, I've released quite a bit of music now. Maybe I could start, teaching.
Okay.
Like, teaching over Skype. And I'm not sure why I came to that thought, but I thought, okay, let's give it a go. And I think I put the feelers out there and people were very receptive and I started teaching a lot of people. And I've just remembered
that Skype. Before Skype, you booked somewhere in London, didn't you?
Yes. That was... I tend to have a habit of doing this. If I sort of decide I'm going to do something, let's not just do something small. Let's like book a very expensive studio in London.
Yeah.
And try and teach for the whole day. Let's try and teach for 8 hours. I've never taught before in my entire life, and have a big group of people there. So I was, I just tried to wing it basically. But everyone that came had a really good time. It was a really good day, and I thought, okay, I did pretty well since I've never done it before.
Yeah.
And I had to teach for like 8 hours solid, and I got really good.
That's hardcore.
What was I thinking? I mean, like
just straight in at the deep end.
Yeah, never taught before. Straight in. Let's book an expensive studio in a nice part of London. I kind of just wanted it to have a really nice day, more for me, because I said to the studio guys, can I run loads of drums through your really expensive equipment?
Yeah.
So in my head, I was like, I might be able to get a good little sample pack out of this. And I asked all the students to bring drums and stuff, so they got to run their things through. So there's the added.
It sounds
value.
quite fun.
It was. Yeah. It was fun, exhausting and stressful all at the same time. But after that, I was like, okay, there seems to be a market for me to potentially teach people.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to book an expensive studio in London all the time, and the price point. It's like a couple of £100 per person I charge, so not cheap. So I thought maybe I can do it over Skype, because then I can just chill at home, and it could be less money and just do it.
Don't have to wear any trousers.
Yeah, exactly.
Like just chill.
Just chill. Don't have to wash.
Yeah, they can't smell you.
They can't smell me, and all of that. So
can leave everything a mess except for one corner.
Exactly, and so the big factors.
And then a genius move. If you could have predicted it, you'd kicked all of that off before the pandemic.
Yeah, and the mastering.
When
as
everybody
well.
Suddenly scrambled to do exactly the things you'd already kind of established it. So it's obviously worked out all right, I guess.
Yeah, I did. I felt very fortunate that it was just sort of luck, really, because my dad retired. I was like, I need to earn more money. I did the Skype teaching. I started my mastering business as well just before the pandemic. It's about November 19.
Broomhill Mastering.
Broomhill
Web
Mastering.
address. Right there.
So I had these other revenue streams coming in alongside the DJing, alongside the the royalties and the remixing and all that stuff. And then the pandemic hit. But also we were lucky because we went to New Zealand, Australia, and I went to Japan literally just before the pandemic. So we had a month's worth of gigs. Effectively, for me, pretty much a year's worth of gigs in terms of how much money we got.
All in 4 weeks.
All in
4 weeks.
So I did feel very fortunate that I was in a good position when the pandemic started. I got really lucky there.
I mean, that whole trip was insane because we went and people had started talking about COVID.
Yeah.
Remember when we went through Singapore airport, everybody had masks on and they had heat detectors, and we were like, oh, this is a bit serious.
Yeah.
Kind of got away with it in New Zealand, and then I think they locked down 2 days after we left. But then in Australia, me and you had a walk around checking out St Kilda, and some of the F1 cars were on display and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then we heard the F1 had been cancelled because of COVID.
That's
and then
when
the
we knew.
thing when I was like, this is serious, is when Tom Hanks got it in Australia.
That was a big deal, wasn't it?
And he
that
was out there. And then I'm like, I'm going home and shutting myself in. We're looking at flights to change. And then you go, oh, I'm going on tour of Japan now.
Yeah,
That'll be all right. And it was all right. But I thought you were mental.
It might have all been down to us, I think, this pandemic, because we went to New Zealand, they shut down. We went to Australia, they shut down. I went to Japan, they shut down. So, sorry, New Zealand, Australia. No,
drum and bass DJs have got a bit of a reputation of taking COVID to other countries. That's all we'll say about that.
No comment on that one. Don't want to be dragged into this.
Yeah, so and as well, you've been fortunate enough to be able to. I know that you when we started making tunes, we were in a flat or whatever, an apartment you had. Then you managed to buy your house.
Yeah.
Then we were in your spare room. Now you've managed to build a studio in the back garden, so you have a really short commute.
Yeah,
Which,
it's awesome.
joking aside, I mean, people say to me sometimes, why don't you work in London or live in London? I can get to London in like an hour and a half from here. But a lot of people I know have an hour each way commute and live in London. Over a week, that's 10 extra hours.
Yeah.
That's a lot of difference when you can just work in a studio in your garden.
Yeah, and London's just, the pricing isn't...
So what are your top tips for productivity with, I know your wife works pretty much full time, is that right?
No, she's only working part-time.
Right, so she's working part time.
Yeah.
You got your boys to look after. You're doing mastering, DJing, remixes. You got a brand new sample pack out.
Yeah.
Which you can tell us about if you want. You got a label. How? What's your tips for productivity?
Setting definite times when you're going to be in the studio. I've got a diary. I'm going to be in the studio, at 8 o'clock Monday morning. I'm going to be working till, say, 1 o'clock. Then I might be taking my son to a lesson, some sort of class.
Yeah.
So it's not just like getting stoned out of your mind and just writing beats all day. Those days have sort of long gone. And it's just about just being very kind of, I'm in the studio now, I need to make these hours count. I can't just be fluffing about on Twitter, which sometimes does happen, but it's just about making those hours count and actually having those time constraints. I find more productive than before all of that. I had all the time in the world.
Yeah.
And you would just kind of be fudging around, but now I'm like, okay, I've only got 2 hours.
And which one of these 50 snares shall I use?
Yeah, exactly. You just got to get on with it, and it's just about refining your workflow and maybe just sort of reusing things instead of trying to build a tune right from the ground up. Okay, I need to start with a brand new snare and a brand new kick and all of that. It's okay, I might just use some drums I've already used before, and then controversial. And just write a new bass line, get some new chords, get some, just try and roll out a vibe. So, it's just about being disciplined at the end of the day.
I mean, it sounds kind of obvious when you say it like this, but I think one of the things with making a career out of music is actually just quite simply treating it as a job. Like you've just said, getting in the studio at 8 o'clock, not 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or, getting on with stuff. It doesn't mean you compromise your music. I know you said about reusing beats, but, you still work that until you get to the right thing and you still get the sound you want, but you just kind of cut out those distractions. And I've found the same thing particularly since being a dad and being busier with running the label and stuff, I probably get more done. I've heard that phrase before. If you want something done, ask a busy person.
That's it. I think having that time constraint and a little bit of pressure, it's like, I can't be messing about. I've got children to feed, literally. I've got bills to pay and stuff like that. So, that bit of pressure is good, I think. It makes you just really focus on what you need to do.
Yeah. And we mentioned Sam McLeod already. You've done loads of stuff as Villem and McLeod.
Big up, Sam.
Big up, Sam. Will we see some more Villem and McLeod?
We've got some tunes written, and Sam's actually coming down next weekend, and we're going to be writing some stuff together. So, the output's slower, and I think it's just going to be just a smaller amount of output because of that.
Yeah, sick. Can't wait to hear it. But in the meantime, you released your first solo EP for Spearhead. I know you've done some other solos last year. This one, One Track Mind EP.
Yes.
Remember this?
I do, just about.
Sick. There's still a load of them left. If you want to grab one, spearheadrecords.bandcamp.com. You know the links. And of course, out now, we've got this Love Rays EP, which has got on it Chalice, Sunbeams, No More Searching, Love Rays, and Moving On. The one, let me tell you now, the one that's got the reactions on all the promo feedback, and my personal favourite is Chalice. I mean, I like all of them, but that's the that's the one doing the damage. Tell us about these tracks. What can you tell us about the EP? You've got some props here.
Yeah, I have bought some props. Well, the first EP, one track Mind, that was a little bit more kind of introspective, I'd say, a bit more chilled.
Yeah.
And then after that, we were still in lockdown, but I was imagining, okay, we're going to get released into the clubs. I want to write some more.
I like that. We're going to be released.
I was kind of, I want some tunes to play, in a busy club, sort of peak time busy club tunes.
Yeah.
So that's sort of Love Rays. That was that kind of thought behind that. And Sunbeams as well, and Chalice as well. It's like a dubby kind of heavy bass line, kind of quite up.
Yeah.
Driving. Sort of not a chill, not super chilled, but not super chilled.
Yeah.
So Chalice is very dubby, but a lot of these started off with me playing some of these guitars here. Well, one guitar and one bass.
Right.
This is my Fender Strat. I bought this in Beccles, which is not so far from here.
Not far at all. Isn't that where Easy Rollers
are really?
from?
Okay, yeah.
Believe so.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think Alex has still got a studio there.
So this is a American, I think it's 2007 or 8 or 9 Fender Strat, and I bought
what have you done to it here? War wounds.
That was already like that as I got that, and some old boy would get these guitars and he would fix them up and make them better, I guess.
Yeah.
But I just took a punt. Someone said, buy a Fender Strat. If you want to get into electric guitar, buy a Fender Strat. So I was like, okay, on Gumtree.
Again, straight in at the deep end.
Yeah, on Gumtree, Fender Strat, one in Beccles. Let's just go and buy it. It was 400 quid. Apparently it's worth $1,000 now. I had a look. So
oh, right.
Made a bit of money.
Should have bought two.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely more.
Okay.
Benny's saying.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Make him an offer. No. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like 400 quid. It was 475, and I said take 400, and he went okay.
No.
So I got it for pretty cheap.
Money talks.
And so
what has that featured in?
Every single tune on the Love Rays EP.
Okay.
So Chalice, with all the the dub kind of skanks.
Yeah.
Sunbeams. I'm pretty sure there's guitar. I think I need to listen to them. I can't remember, but Love Rays, you can hear like a guitar solo before the drop.
Yeah.
That was me. Moving On's got some chords in there as well.
And Moving On, vocals from yourself.
I will not be performing them today.
But and would I be right in saying that there's one on here as well, isn't there? Waiting for You.
Yes.
I thought I noticed your tones in that one.
Yeah, it's just trying something different. I just wanted to try. For me, I was always conscious that I hadn't like cemented my sound.
Yeah.
So I was trying to find ways to cement a sound, and maybe using some instruments that are not usually used that much, like guitar. And I've got my dad's bass here, which is a 1970s Gibson Ibanez bass, which he used to gig in the 70s in a local kind of rock band.
Yeah. And now this bass, I know, features on our track with DRS for the Vanguard Project, right? Every Day is Stolen.
Yes.
So we called it at the end?
I don't know if you can see, but it's absolutely kind of battle torn from my dad's time in the band. Is that in focus there? It's an old guitar. My dad thinks it was stolen when he bought it because the serial number's scratched off.
Oh, right.
So it's got a bit of a history.
So it used to belong to Metallica. Oh, no. Who knows?
Who knows? So, but
if this is your bass guitar, call the number on the screen right now.
Yeah, if you recognise this guitar.
Yeah, if you recognise it.
Come and get it.
Don't come and get it. We'll put you on to his dad.
And also, I think there's some tracks features this, which is a melodica, which is very kind of used in a lot of dub and reggae.
Yeah. You blow the pipe, right?
You blow the pipe and you play the keys, so it's kind of got like a horn.
Give it a blow. There's a sentence I never thought I'd be saying to you. Where does the sound come out?
What's it? I'll do that again. No.
Oh, I recognise that riff, yeah, from the Mighty Calibre.
Cut the bit out of
No, leave it all in. It's funny.
Yeah, so that's a melodica.
What's that? Is
That's
that
in
featured
Chalice.
in something?
That's in Love Rays. Might be in the other ones. So yeah, it's just about finding instruments that I can reuse to create a sound. That's kind of what I'm interested in at the moment. Rather than just sort of using sort of all the usual stuff that I was using, like samples and copying maybe other sort of drum and bass styles, I just wanted to try and find something that was me.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of this EP, I feel like it is probably the most me.
It's probably the most Villem EP.
Yeah, it's probably the most
There is.
Villem EP perhaps.
Yeah.
In my mind, everyone else might not think that, but...
And Villem, you named yourself after the Dutch name William by mistake. Is that correct?
Yes, Villem is what a lot of the Germans would say. It is a name. Basically, if you
I knew a guy called Villem growing up. Yeah, he was from the Netherlands.
Yeah, if you're sort of Dutch or German, basically, if you see my name on a flyer, it's just be like, okay, William's coming to DJ our town.
Well, it could have been Meadow. So
yeah,
I think that's good.
Equally as bad.
I mean, names are a funny thing. Once you get used to them, that's just what they are. Nothing sounds right.
Yeah,
to start with.
There's some terrible names out there, but we all accept them as fine.
Yeah, I mean, Break. When you actually think about it, Break. I mean, logistics. He just saw a lorry go past.
Yeah, like Andy C. I mean, if someone called themselves like Peter B right now,
yeah, you're right, Andy C. Peter B. I've got a tune out on the Mood Swings 4 from Bert H. I don't really think about it, but you're right. It's like Andy C.
It's
Bert
kind of,
AMC.
It's not great, is it? But
I mean,
but everyone, like you say, after
New Tone is America's biggest supplier of extractor fans for toilets. I mean,
yeah,
it's weird names.
It doesn't really matter, does it? As long as it's not too offensive. Because
Hospital. There's a record label called Hospital. I mean.
But they've done brilliant because they've kind of, got hospitality and all their little offshoots.
And they've had like 2 years of people like shouting out, let's clap for NHS and like all that. And they've just,
free advertising.
Free advertising, innit? For them. Yeah. Mate, you've got so much going on. It's unbelievable. I mean, I wrote down a list of stuff, so I would just want to check we've kind of covered stuff, and if you want to tell us anything about stuff. So Merc, that's your label you started.
Yeah.
Logo drawn by your son a few years ago.
Yeah.
The face one, which I thought was really cool. Anything else coming out on the label?
Yeah, next up is a 2-track single from Derek and Tonica.
Right.
Which are Ukraine husband and wife duo.
I think I met them when I was out playing something like Blade Runners or one of those events.
Most likely. They're long-standing in the Ukrainian scene, released on Ram, Hospital, a lot of big names.
Yeah.
So that's up next. And I'm just looking to push kind of 2-track digital singles at the moment. Like vinyl's been, kind of slow and steady, hasn't it? You know all about how long it takes to print a vinyl. And I've been quite enjoying just releasing these digital ones because you can just get them to flow out, and it's it's a lot less hassle.
Yeah,
basically.
Definitely is.
So yeah, just looking to just grow that,
keep it
slowly and steadily. I'd like to kind of move it forward, but I think I probably need to get some help because, as you've just said, I've got a lot on my plate.
Got quite a bit going on.
So if I wanted to grow it, I think I'd need someone to come in and just help a little bit.
Yeah. Do you obviously still doing some teaching, tuition online?
Yeah, still
have
doing that.
any people you taught released on Mercked or other labels or gone on to do stuff?
Yeah.
Did you teach DPR?
Yes, I did.
So he's had a release on Future Retro, which is cool.
Which he was really chuffed about, and he got to work with Leo Wood on that, which I know he's really, chuffed about that. There's a guy called Kublai who released on
Gold Fat,
but also on Mercked as well. A chap called Alpha Rhythm, who is a long-standing student of mine. He
released on a Hospital EP.
Yeah, he released on a Hospital EP, done a lot of stuff with Focus.
Something with Me, a feature on Resilience EP.
Yes. Yeah, I believe so. I mean, he came to me about 2 years ago and he hadn't ever written a tune. So not tooting my own horn, but he's done really well. But the thing...
Well, what you're managing to do is take what was quite a long journey for you with technology moving forward and access to stuff and make that a lot quicker for other people, which is positive if you're trying to get into music now.
Yeah, definitely. And it's positive for me as well, obviously financially, but also as to see someone just grow, put in the time, put in the dedication, and go from zero to releasing on Hospital within a couple of years is
fantastic.
Is amazing to see. And everyone who works with me, who just moves forward, it's just great to see. It's positive. It's a win-win. That's what I like. They win, I win, everyone wins. So it's good.
Happy days. You got a sample pack that's just been released.
I have.
And you've got several others around still somewhere, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, I got a new one released yesterday on By the Producer.
Yeah. We'll put the link here. There you go.
Right there, which has turned out really well. And I recorded a drummer, and he gave me some original break beats.
Okay.
I chopped them up, reprocessed them, made them into drum and bass kind of, new modern kind of drum and bass beats.
Are the original breaks also included in the pack?
They are.
They are.
The raw files are there, so if you want to chop and do your own thing with them.
Yeah.
Recorded my guitar a lot. Got a piano off of Gumtree, but it's a really nice piano.
Where have you put that?
That's in my house.
Okay.
And I just recorded the piano for hours on end and went in and chopped some really cool loops.
Yeah.
Pads, effects and all that jazz, and also some really dirty bass hits. That's in the pack, out now. Go grab it.
Cool.
There's also 6 other packs, 5 Villem McLeod ones and 1 solo Villem one, and that's on my own website, which is villemmusic.com.
Cool.
So head there.
Look out for them.
There's a ton of samples.
We've been working on some more Vanguard Project stuff, which will appear when we're ready for it to appear. Mm-hmm. Not kind of rushing it because... I think we'd both rather put out a decent project than a rushed one. There's plenty of back catalogue out there. Yeah. Check out the Vanguard Project. I've created a playlist with everything we've ever released that we'll stick a link somewhere for. I was going to ask you as well a couple of other things before we finish. One was you released on Hospital 2 quite cool tracks, and I wonder if you wanted to tell us anything about those. One of them was a cover of a Roots track. Mm-hmm. I think you if I remember correctly, you basically sort of made it to see if you could and to practice. Yeah. And then it turned out you got Leo Wood on the vocals, and I really enjoyed as well your was it a remake of Harp of Gold? Peter Nice Trio, which also included London Electricity of Chris Goss and Tony Coleman, and Utah Jazz's brother, Oscar Wilson. Yeah,
so a deep kind of drum and bassy kind of history right there. And it was the Hospital #1, as in the first ever Hospital release.
Did you just do that and send it to them, or did they ask you to have a go at it? Or
with the Roots cover, I'd learnt it on guitar, and I was like, maybe this could work at drum and bass speed. Yeah. And end up rebuilding everything, so there's no samples in there. They heard that, and they were like, okay, this is pretty cool. Could you do that for Harp of Gold? Okay. We've got no samples. Can you just recreate everything? So there's no original samples.
Is there any actual harp in it?
Yeah, there is. There is. I paid for a harpist on a website called Fiverr. Yeah. and she was based in America, and she recorded the harp sample that was in the original, re-recorded that.
Awesome.
And then I put that in my version.
Yeah.
So that was, I felt quite honoured to be asked to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's first ever Hospital release.
Awesome, man.
So yeah, it's good fun.
And what was that on? Hospital 25? 25
Yeah, the 25th
years of Hospital thing.
25th anniversary.
Sick. And the last thing I wanted to ask you about is, I know that you've been hooking up with, in a musical sense, the legend that is Jimmy Jarvie.
Yes.
And working on some music, some more live music stuff. And he told me you had a gig that you kept very quiet and tested out.
Yes.
Where can we hear that? What's going on with that? What are you called? Tell us about that.
Once a week, me and Jimmy get together and we jam using a loop machine. So everything's live.
Yeah.
So I might play a little bit of guitar, Jimmy loops it in, then he plays some drums, then I might play some keyboards, then he might start singing.
Yeah.
And we build tracks live into a loop machine. And we just absolutely love just jamming, kind of improvising a lot of times, recording that. And then maybe after a few months going, oh, that track was good. Let's try and make that into a proper tune.
Okay, so then you're kind of taking your ideas and remaking them into, this is now
a song.
One of our songs, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So we've recorded quite a few. I feel like we're kind of finding our sound. I'd like to, have a good solid 4 tracks which kind of sound like a whole cohesive thing. And then we'll look to release it, but we're just really enjoying
straight on Ninja tunes, mate. That's what I'm saying.
That'd
be
cool.
all right. Right, let's make it happen, Ninja.
And we did do one gig in Jimmy's back garden, but we had a proper PA system.
Okay.
We had Gav, who does the sound
for Worldwide Drum and Bass.
Worldwide Drum and Bass, but he's done Glastonbury live sound. He's done really well pedigreed sound engineer for live. And
so again, just throwing yourself straight in there.
So we've
got to do something in the garden. No, what do we need? Oh, the sound engineer who does Glastonbury.
And he smashed it and made us sound really good. And we did a whole live set. Me, Jimmy, and also our friend Dean, who does some singing. He came along.
Okay.
And we did a live set, and it went really well.
Good.
Good, yeah.
So we'll be hearing you somewhere soon, I hope.
That would be nice. That would be nice.
Mate, anything else you want to tell us about that you've got coming up, or?
I can't think of anything else. No, just if you need mastering, broomhillmastering.com. If you need teaching, just hit me up on Facebook or Instagram. More music to come. Been sort of writing some stuff.
Yeah.
All formulating into a plan. I'd like to do some more stuff with yourself.
DJ Bookings, clinictalent.com.
Yeah, DJ Bookings, Clinic Talent. I think that's about it, yeah.
Wicked. Well, Drew, Villem, half Vanguard Project, half of Villem and McLeod, half of Samantha and Andrew.
Yeah.
From me to you. It's been wicked. Thanks for coming in, and we'll catch you out and about soon.
Yeah, my pleasure. Nice to see you, Steve. Big up.
Vibes.
Peace.